For many years, Hua Hin has quietly built a reputation as one of Thailand's favourite retirement towns. People often describe it as relaxed, orderly and very different from busier places like Pattaya. But Thailand has changed quite a bit over the years, and that raises a simple question. Is Hua Hin still the retirement paradise people imagine it to be? Over the past few weeks, I've been walking around town, paying attention to the small details that reveal what daily life here is really like. This morning, just after 7 along the beach road, the day is already beginning. But it isn't tourists dragging suitcases or traffic rushing past. Instead, it's mostly older residents, many of them foreign retirees, out for their morning walks. Watching that quiet routine tells you quite a lot about the kind of place Hua Hin has become. Hua Hin has held this reputation for decades, long before digital nomads discovered Chiang Mai and before Phuket grew into the international destination it is today. Hua Hin was already attracting retirees looking for something calmer. The Thai royal family has been coming here since the 1920s, and that history still shapes the town today. Walking through the streets, you get the sense that this place has had time to settle into itself. It's not trying to be Bangkok, and it's certainly not trying to be Pattaya. Hua Hin seems comfortable being exactly what it is. Early in the morning, the town feels especially calm. A light breeze drifts in from the Gulf of Thailand, while the small cafes begin opening for the day. The beach stretches for several kilometers. It may not be the most pristine beach in Thailand, but it's wide, accessible, and part of everyday life in the town. No jet skis screaming past every few minutes, no constant boat traffic, just a steady stretch of sand where people walk, exercise, or simply sit and watch the water. The town itself spreads back from the beach in a way that makes sense. The main road runs parallel to the coast, and after a few days you can navigate most of it without GPS. That might sound like a small detail, but when you're thinking about living somewhere long term, small details like that matter. So why did people start choosing Hua Hin for retirement in the first place? Geography plays a big role. It's about 2.5 hours from Bangkok by car, close enough for visa trips, medical appointments, or anything you need from the big city, but far enough away that it doesn't feel like you're living in Bangkok's suburbs. Years ago, many expats discovered they could rent a comfortable house here for a fraction of what they were paying back home. The weather was warm but generally manageable. The locals were friendly but not pushy. And there were enough other foreigners around that you didn't feel isolated, but not so many that it felt like a Western bubble. Healthcare was another major factor. When Bangkok Hospital Hua Hin opened, retirees suddenly had access to international standard healthcare without needing to travel to Bangkok. Several long-term residents have told me that access to good healthcare was one of the key reasons they decided to settle here. Then there's the pace of life. Hua Hin moves slowly, not sleepy village slow, but definitely not city fast. It's the kind of place where shop owners remember your usual order and where you can sit in a cafe for a couple of hours without feeling rushed. For many retirees, that slower rhythm is exactly the appeal. So what does a normal day actually look like if you live in Hua Hin? Most people wake up early. Living this close to the equator tends to shift your schedule a bit. The best hours of the day are usually before 9 in the morning and again after 4 in the afternoon. Many retirees start their day with a walk along the beach, not necessarily for swimming, although some people do. More often, it's just a quiet walk, watching fishing boats coming in and nodding hello to the other regular morning walkers. There's an informal community that forms around those early morning routines. Nobody organises it. People simply begin to recognise the same faces day after day. After the walk, some people stop by a local market. Fresh markets are still a big part of daily life here. Vendors sell fruit, vegetables, seafood, and prepare food, often at prices that surprise newcomers. Tropical fruit that might feel expensive back home is often very affordable here. Mangoes, dragon fruit, rambutans, whatever is in season tends to appear in piles on the market tables. Breakfast might be at home or at one of the many small cafes around town. Some serve traditional Thai breakfasts like rice porridge, while others cater more to Western tastes with eggs, toast and coffee. In recent years, the cafe scene has grown quite a bit, so finding a good cup of coffee is no longer difficult. By the middle of the day, most people slow down. The heat begins to build, and air conditioning becomes your friend. This is when people read, watch television, answer emails, or simply take a nap. Fortunately, the infrastructure is good. Internet speeds are reliable, and power outages are relatively rare. By late afternoon, the town becomes active again. Some retirees head to the golf courses. There are several within easy reach of town. Others go cycling along the quieter inland roads. Some people take Thai language lessons. Others meet friends for an early dinner or a drink somewhere near the beach. Evenings are often the most pleasant time of day. The temperature drops, the night markets begin to fill with food stalls, and restaurants slowly come alive with a mixture of locals, expats, and Thai visitors. You can eat very well here on a small budget, or spend more on international restaurants if that's what you prefer. Either way, the atmosphere tends to stay relaxed, and that rhythm, quiet mornings, slower afternoons, and comfortable evenings is one of the reasons many retirees find Hua Hin an easy place to live. Now let's talk about money, because that's usually the question people really want answered. Can you actually afford to retire comfortably in Hua Hin? The short answer is yes, but the long answer depends entirely on the lifestyle you expect. I've met people living here quite comfortably on around $1,000 a month, and I've also met retirees spending several times that amount. Housing is usually the biggest expense. A furnished one-bedroom condo in a building with a pool and gym typically rents for somewhere between $400 and $600 per month. If you prefer a house with a small garden, you might be looking at $600 to $1,000, depending on the location and the size. Of course, you can spend more, but many retirees don't feel the need to. Utilities are generally reasonable, as long as you're sensible with the aircon. Electricity might run somewhere between $50 and $100 a month. Water is inexpensive, and internet service usually adds another $30 to $40. Food is where you really control the budget. If you eat mostly Thai food at local restaurants, meals can cost only a few dollars. Shopping at fresh markets and cooking at home is also very affordable. On the other hand, imported food can be surprisingly expensive. If you regularly buy Western groceries like imported cheese, wine, or specific brands from home, your grocery bill will go up quickly. Healthcare is another major reason many retirees consider Thailand. Doctor visits can be surprisingly affordable compared to Western countries, and routine treatments often cost a fraction of what people expect. That said, most long-term residents still recommend having proper health insurance. Hospital stays can become expensive without it. Transportation costs are usually low. Some retirees end up buying a small motorbike, while others rely on bicycles or occasional taxis around town. Unless you plan to travel frequently outside the area, owning a car isn't always necessary. When you add everything together, many couples find they can live comfortably here on around $2,000 to $2,500 a month. A single person might spend somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. It may not be a luxury lifestyle, but it can be a very comfortable one. But there are a few things that sometimes surprise people when they move to Hua Hin. For one thing, the town is more Thai than some newcomers expect. This isn't like some parts of Pattaya or Phuket where almost everything is translated into English and designed around foreign visitors. Yes, you'll find Western restaurants, international supermarkets and familiar brands, but step away from the main tourist streets and you're very much in Thailand. You'll hear temple announcements early in the morning, street vendors pushing carts through the neighborhood selling food, local festivals appear and sometimes close roads with very little notice. For many people, that's part of the charm, but it does mean you're living in another culture, not just visiting it. The language barrier can also take some adjustment. You can usually get by with English in many places, especially around central areas. But learning at least some Thai makes daily life much easier. Some retirees assume they'll pick it up naturally after moving here, but Thai is a tonal language and can take time to learn. The climate is another factor. Everyone knows Thailand is hot, but living in the heat every day is different from visiting on holiday. Some people adapt fairly quickly and start planning their days around the cooler hours of the morning and evening. Others find the humidity harder to get used to. The rainy season also requires a bit of flexibility. From around June through October, heavy rainstorms can arrive quickly. They rarely last all day, but when it rains here, it can become intense. Streets flood temporarily, and plans sometimes change. And then there's something people don't always expect when they move overseas: loneliness. Yes, there is an expat community here, but friendships don't appear automatically. Like anywhere else, building a social circle takes time. Some retirees join clubs, language centres, or activity groups. Others meet friends through golf courses, cafes, or informal gatherings. People who make the effort usually find their community, but those who expect it to happen automatically sometimes struggle during their first year. So how does Hua Hin compare with other places retirees often consider? Let's start with nearby Cha. The two towns are only about 20 minutes apart, but they feel quite different. Cha is generally quieter and more local, property prices can be lower, and the beaches are often less crowded. But the trade-off is that there are fewer restaurants, fewer international services, and a smaller expat community. Some retirees really enjoy that quieter atmosphere. Others find it a little too quiet, especially during the low season when the town can feel quite empty. Then there's Pattaya, which is almost the complete opposite. Pattaya is larger, busier, and far more developed. You'll find major shopping malls, international hospitals, thousands of restaurants, and a very large expat community. There's always something happening, but that's also the reason many retirees prefer Hua Hin instead. Pattaya can feel overwhelming for people who want a quieter lifestyle. Traffic is heavier, tourism is more intense, and the city has a very different reputation. Hua Hin tends to feel calmer and more relaxed. In many ways, the difference is similar to choosing between a small town and a busy city. People who enjoy the energy and constant activity of Pattaya often thrive there. Those who prefer a slower pace usually feel more comfortable in Hua Hin. So, is Hua Hin still the best retirement town in Thailand? The honest answer is that best probably isn't the right word. There's no single best place for anyone, because retirees are all looking for different things. But Hua Hin remains one of the most balanced options. It's developed enough to feel comfortable, but not so developed that it has lost its character. It's friendly to foreigners without being a Western bubble. And it's still possible to live here well without needing a huge budget. What stands out most when you talk to long-term residents is the level of contentment. Not constant excitement or dramatic adventure, but a steady sense of satisfaction with daily life. People settle into routines, they have their favourite cafes, their regular walking routes, and the friends they meet every week. They build a rhythm that suits them. Over the past few evenings, I've been watching the sunset over the Gulf of Thailand. The sky turns deep orange and pink, the temperature drops, and people begin coming out again for their evening walks. Restaurants slowly fill up, the town settles into another relaxed evening. And that may be the best way to understand Hua Hin. It's not about dramatic experiences or bucket list moments. It's about comfortable days that flow into comfortable evenings. For many retirees, that's exactly what they're looking for. So is Hua Hin still the best? That's something each person has to decide for themselves. But it's still one of the best places in Thailand to build a relaxed retirement lifestyle. In many ways, yes. Despite the development, despite the changes, and despite new options appearing around the country, Hua Hin continues to offer something quite rare, a place where life moves at a manageable pace. A pace that still feels genuinely Thai, while remaining comfortable for foreign residents. And for a lot of people, that balance is exactly what makes it work. If you've enjoyed today's video, can you do me a massive favor and press the subscribe button? It'll really help the channel push to more people like yourselves who want to retire in Thailand. Thanks for listening today, and I'll see you on the next one.